Bossets, Canuckadal here again, and today I'm bringing you another Halloween-themed Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire Wi-Fi battle. This one's against Passerby Crabman, who had a pretty nice team actually. He had some NU Pokemon in there in the Lantern, he had UU with the Trevenant, but three OU Mons, so it was still quite the uphill battle for me. It was a lot of fun. You might notice that I took out a couple members of the team and replaced them with Quoth and Honchkrow, which are both spooky Pokemon in themselves. So yeah, enough chit chat, let's get right into the spookiness. I thought Crabman was a pretty interesting name. If you guys had ever watched My Name is Earl, I know it's kind of a crappy show, but I thought that was pretty funny. So I lead with Yuki, and I end up just taunting this Skarmory because I know they like to set up Stealth Rocks, like to go for the Whirlwinds, all that kind of jazz. As you'll see, kind of bites me in the ass later in the game. But this is a great opportunity for Yuki to start setting up her layers of spikes. I know 3 of the 6 Pokemon on his team don't take any damage from spikes, but it's nice to get that passive damage as they come in anyways for the other 3. So I just set up 2 layers of spikes. I don't really fear the overheat or anything from this thing because I know I've got the Focus Sash, so as long as he doesn't want to burn me, I can live any hit this thing wants to dish out. And Frostlass is designed as a suicide lead, this one anyways, so it's designed to get up its entry hazards and then die. So I see this as a great opportunity to hit this thing with a Destiny Bond, because I know it's probably going to want to take me out, want to get the rapid spin off, get those entry hazards out. So it ends up taking me out, and in turn I end up taking out the Excadrill, which is a huge physical utility Pokemon out of the way. Those spikes aren't going anywhere now that his rapid spinner is down, and yeah, it's just great all around. Yuki, you did your job. I love Frostlass as the suicide lead. It's fantastic. So in comes Witchy Woman, and I just want to trick my Choice Scarf onto this thing because I know Dragonites like to set up, and it's going to want to obviously Dragon Dance. And I end up getting the weakness policy off this thing too, which is nice to know. Even though I don't end up hitting this thing with any super effective damage down the road, it's nice to get that out of there because who wants a Dragonite with +3 attack after a Dragon Dance and a weakness policy boost, excuse me. So in comes Mr. Heat. I think he knew that I was packing the Dazzling Gleam, so he didn't want to take any damage from that. And now that I'm not Choice Scarfed, I'm able to switch up my moves and go for the Psyshock, and that's going to do a huge chunk of damage on the Rotom Heat. And he himself is actually going to go for the trick on this, which I found pretty interesting, because I get my Choice Scarf back, which is fantastic, because I'm going to outspeed everything on his team, sans priority users of course. But yeah, I'm more than happy with that. So that's his Rotom down and his Excadrill down. And in comes the Skarmory, which it kind of sucks that I'm choiced into the Psyshock, but I'm going to save Witchy Woman for later. I know this thing wants to get up its Stealth Rocks, so because my team is pretty weak to them. But I just see this as a good time to go wall versus wall and get out Quoth here. And I was going to set up a Trick Room, but I forgot that Trick Room has a decreased priority. And he's able to get a Whirlwind off before I can set up my Trick Room, which kind of sucks, but you know what, I can deal with it. So the obvious fire attack here is pretty obvious, and I should have anticipated the Dragonite coming in and maybe hit it with the Dazzling Gleam or such, but I was just trying to play it safe, play it close to the chest, and that does absolutely no damage with it being resisted and Dragonite still having its multi-scale active. So in comes Tutankhamun, which I thought was actually a pretty funny corruption of Tutankhamun, the famous Egyptian king mummy. But he's going to hit me with the Dragon Claw. That's going to do less than half, which is perfect. That means I can take another 2. And I see this as an opportunity to set up the Trick Room now that this Dragonite is Scarfed. It's going to outspeed practically everything on my team besides Witchy Woman. And this Trick Room setup actually ends up biting me in the ass because I just make a poor play down the road. But now I'm faster than this thing because of Trick Room, so I should have probably gone for the Will-O-Wisp and crippled this thing, but the Shadow Ball ends up doing a nice chunk of damage. If I got the Will-O-Wisp off, I would have been able to hit it with the Shadow Claw and get the burn off, But, you know, I was also kind of playing safe because I have the tendency to miss my Will-O-Wisps if you've seen any of my past battles. And missing a Will-O-Wisp on a Dragonite is something no one wants to do. So I got the guaranteed damage with the Shadow Ball. It's going to go for the Dragon Claw, and this switch-in was just the pinnacle of stupidity in this matchup because I could have switched into Cersei here. This is the switch I should have made in the first place. Get the Intimidate off so that Dragonite's not doing as much damage in its attacks, and I should have saved Cersei for the Skarmory because, as you'll see, starting here, this Skarmory is quite the problem for me because, especially with Arbok, I can't hit it with anything. It's not going to attack me, so I can't hit it with the Sucker Punch. The Earthquake doesn't affect it, and neither does the Gunk Shot. So I'm kind of hooped at this point. This kind of seemed like the beginning of the end for old Canuckadile in this battle. But in comes Edgar Allan Poe, and this thing is an absolute monster. It's an Adamant Honchkrow with a Choice Band on, so all of its hits are just going to do absolutely huge damage, no matter on if it's a Skarmory or any other Pokemon. So and it really takes advantage of the Trick Room because it's on the slower side, even with max speed investment at an Adamant nature. But you know, I couldn't take advantage of the Trick Room, and that kind of sucks. So in comes Audrey 2, and I can't really do anything to this with this Metalhead with Audrey 2 either because it's, as you'll see, he's just continuously spamming the Roost, and my Rock Slides are going to do absolutely no damage to it once it loses this Flying type, and it just gains the pure Steel typing because Rock is resisted by Steel. Who knew? But I'm just going to stay in here, kind of go for the Rock Slides, maybe hoping to PP stall it a little bit because it's, yeah, I can't really do anything unless he Whirlwinds me out and I get a switch into the Honchkrow. And that's really the only thing that can kill this thing right at this point. So he's going to go for the Brave Bird. That's going to do quite a bit of damage with the critical hit. I mean, I could survive another one if he wants to fire another one off, but Audrey 2 really doesn't have too much use in this battle anymore, like because she's a specially defensive Pokemon, and there's not many special attackers left, so I can't really do anything with Audrey. So I kind of just see this as try to get as much damage off as I can before the Skarmory either Whirlwinds me out or takes me out with the Brave Birds. So as you'll see, the Rock Slide does absolutely nothing with the Roost, but it's going to do enough to where it doesn't get its Sturdy back. It doesn't regain max HP, so it can't do the damage it needs to, which is absolutely huge because, oh sorry, it can't do the damage it needs to. It doesn't have full HP, but that's going to come in clutch later on in the game, as you will see. But even though it does have a Sturdy up right now, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself, a couple turns down the road, it's going to lose its Sturdy. And this Night Slash, even though it doesn't do a crit, it does just under half, which is a nice chunk of damage. I'm really kind of hoping and praying that I can get a Moxie boost on this Honchkrow and maybe get a little mini sweep going, because the rest, like that Dragonite's still in his back pocket. It's scary as all hell now that it has the Choice Scarf. I mean, it can't set up, but it's still fast, and Dragonite still has a beastly attack stat even without the Dragon Dance boosts. So he's just, as I said, he's going to continue going for the Roost, and I'm pretty much thinking that this battle's lost. I'm not going to forfeit, but I'm going to keep on keeping on and trying to see if I can get a little wiggle room, because it's a pretty big uphill struggle there. Now this is where that tiny bit of Rock Slide damage doesn't get it, after Leftovers recovery, doesn't get it back up to its Sturdy, and that is going to come in so clutch in a couple turns, as you will see. So he's going to switch out his Skarmory, and I believe this is where he goes into the Trevenant. Yeah, he goes into the Trevenant here. It's going to take the Spikes damage, which didn't really play that big a role, but I'm just going to go for the Rock Slide. It's just neutral damage, gets a nice chunk of damage off, and he ends up going for the Will-O-Wisp, and I also trade my own status condition in the form of Toxic here. I know they get Natural Cure, but most Trevenants I've seen tend to be the Harvest. They have a berry set, so it's, yeah, they tend to be more on the stally side. And right here is where, well, I kind of come to the conclusion that if I'm going to have anything done with Edgar Allan Poe, this is the time to switch him in, because I don't want another whirlwind take me out on the stealth rocks, and I resist both of Trevenant's stabs in this case. They're usually not attack invested, and I live the Horn Leech at 2 HP, which is absolutely huge, because at this point, a Night Slash from Honchkrow is going to easily KO this Trevenant, as you'll see right here. And I'm able to get my Moxie boost up, which is huge. And at this point, I'm hoping and praying that he doesn't switch in the Dragonite, that I might be able to snag a critical hit on the Skarmory with a Night Slash, and at +1 stab, +1 choice band, max attack Honchkrow is going to be able to snag the crit on this Skarmory, and that is huge, because if that thing was to stick around, I would have lost. There was no way I was coming back. The rest of my team could not touch this. So Honchkrow gets his little mini sweep going. In comes Dragonite. He's just going to hit me with a Dragon Claw, but I'm absolutely okay with that, because Honchkrow did its job. It got rid of that Skarmory with all the odds stacked up against it, so attaboy Edgar. So in comes Cersei. This Intimidate drop is really going to help against this Dragonite, because now it's not going to be hitting anywhere near as hard with the Dragon Claws, and I was pretty confident that I'd be able to live a Dragon Claw even without a defense boost from Coil, so I just end up going for the Gunk Shot, hoping and praying it connects, hoping and praying it KOs, and it ends up KOing the Dragonite. So that's another huge annoyance just down. And in comes Lantern. This is Lantern's debut. That spike damage is going to do a little bit, and that's going to be enough to put it in range for this next Life Orb Earthquake to KO the Lantern, because they tend to be more specially defensive usually. So yeah, that was a huge battle that I had a lot of fun playing. So thanks, Crabman. I made some big mistakes. I should have by no means won that, but I still had a lot of fun playing. If you guys like this, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment below, like suggesting some Pokemon that I should be using in some of my videos. I want to keep it on the Halloween theme, but I know these are kind of cookie cutter when it comes to Halloween theme. You got the two ghosts, the snake, the witch, the Little Shop of Horrors plant, and the raven, but I'm more than open to some interesting Pokemon, so leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching. Take care, and stay spooky. Bye-bye.